Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to be asking a question for you all today, and that question is, should it be compulsory for schools to teach sign language? It is no surprise to me that this is not a new debate. Back in 2017, the BBC reported on the topic, and I'm definitely 100% sure that it was being spoken about previously to that as well. Through research, it's clear that there is a demand for the British Sign Language to be taught within our schools, and the majority of parents seem to be on board with this as well. Personally, I believe that British Sign Language should be taught in all schools here in the United Kingdom. I mean, I can obviously only speak for the UK on this, as I'm not sure if learning sign language is a necessity, in other parts of the globe. But here in the UK, I definitely think that sign language should be taught. To me, it is unfortunately quite obvious that there is a lack of understanding when it comes to those who are deaf. Many of us simply do not know any sign language at all, and therefore when placed in a situation where it would be beneficial for us to know it, or at least the basics of sign language, we just fall flat on our faces. There are undoubtedly major barriers for the deaf. One of those include just feeling lonely and isolated and not included in everyday life. And I think that it would help those who needed it greatly if sign language was just being taught in our schools. The National Deaf Children's Society did some research back in 2017, which I understand is a few years old at this point, but it is still interesting regardless. And they found through a survey that a massive 92% said that British Sign Language should be offered as a GCSE. 97% said that sign language should simply just be taught in schools in general. The most interesting statistic from this survey for me personally was that an insane 94% of those who took part, who did not actually have any hearing difficulties, explained that they would be interested in increasing their skills when it came to sign language. The demand is there for this. This would be beneficial not just for those who are deaf, but also those who have no difficulty with their hearing, as it would create awareness. The government acknowledged sign language as an official language back in 2003, and the Department for Education has said in the past that, quote, "Whilst it is not a mandatory part of the curriculum, schools are free to teach it if they choose to do so." I will acknowledge that although I fully believe that schools should be an inclusive place for everyone to learn, regardless of disability background or situation, adding sign language to our curriculums would be very tricky. For example, financially, employing more staff which know sign language, which are able to teach sign language, and simply finding the time to fit it into the school's schedules. All of these would be potential problems. But I see this as something which would help deaf youngsters, and I just see it as a necessity. I'm shocked in a way that the British Sign Language hasn't already become a part of our educational system. What would be a great start, I think, is maybe perhaps just adding it in as an optional extra module or something like that, and it's some kind of maybe extra curriculum activity, just to get the ball rolling with it. In May of 2018, I actually found another article by The Independent, which said that the government is apparently open to considering British Sign Language as a GCSE following a number of petitions. However, I have not seen anything further on the matter about sign language being a part of the curriculum. I was inspired to create this video from a segment that I saw on the news a few days ago. In the segment, it surrounded a teacher who is deaf and who teaches a class of young children. She teaches using a mixture of spoken language, sign language, and lip reading. The news spoke about not only the school and how inclusive they were for the deaf teacher, but also how the use of sign language had positively affected the children. It was just really interesting, and seeing these really young children being able to do the basics of sign language was just an eye-opener for me. So what do you think on this? Should schools have to teach sign language? Let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section down below. All sources I used to make this video will be linked in the description box for you as well if you're interested. If you liked this video or found it interesting, leave it a thumbs up, and if you are new here, go ahead and click on that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.